CreaLab, a good practice guide for the operation of labs within the CreaLab network. CreaLab is a European project that seeks interaction between traditional and creative industries with a strong focus on collaboration between companies and different sectors to develop new business opportunities. To achieve this, it promotes activities which actively seek the definition of an effective working model, capable of producing an economic impact which is easy to replicate in other sectors or geographical areas. This video has a practical function. It shows how to make a CreaLab work. The guide provides answers to the two major questions which need addressing before putting our project into operation. How should a CreaLab operate? The initial idea is based on the organizational philosophy of living labs. A living lab is an open innovation ecosystem based on cooperation between companies, research centers, government agencies and users for the implementation of research processes, experimentation and evaluation of new solutions in a real-life context. A CreaLab should generate community projects, whereby the user is integrated from the beginning in the process of co-production, and the result must bring benefits to both the individuals, the working group, and to society as a whole. Now we come to the second question. How can we make this happen? Everything starts from a single premise: managing productive human relationships. This involves two different concepts: productive relationships and productive people. Part 1. The CreaLab must generate productive human relationships. In order to make these relationships more productive, we basically need a recipe with 4 ingredients: balance, rules, communication, and investment, with which we create a salad which encapsulates trust, commitment, and investment in the relationship. Therefore, the fresher, healthier, and tastier the original ingredients, the better it tastes, and the sooner it will reach 100% of its operational capacity. Ingredient 1. The balance between needs, interests, and expectations. As in life, if in a relationship with something or someone there is no common idea, or worse, you feel you're being dragged into decisions or situations you can't escape because of your negotiating position, 3 things will happen. Firstly, by definition, you will distrust anything that is put forward by the other party. Secondly, you stop investing in the relationship. Thirdly, at the first opportunity, you try to escape from the relationship or minimize it to the maximum. For this reason, this first ingredient is based on the need to ensure that in the CreaLab, the relationships between the actors need to be balanced from the beginning. In order to achieve this, this guide recommends drawing on the experience of specialized professionals, carefully bearing in mind the type of area suitable to the aspiration of the project. The KWMC and BCN Lab examples. In the first case, KWMC, the orientation of the impact on the surrounding area is linked to its policies to stimulate resources, individual fundraising and municipal funding, its participation and partnerships, its association with cooperatives, and its collaborations. We have a document entitled the KWMC Associate Skills Checklist, which can be used to allocate human resources for joint projects using the CreaLab methodology. In the second case, BCN Lab, we have a tool available which can be found on the website. Using network graphics, this allows you to examine your position in order to know what you are involved in and who you are working with. Ingredient 2. Clear rules of play. Introducing the idea of rules can imply limitations, but in this instance, it's not really the case. When we talk about rules, we identify 2 different levels. One which is more general and abstract, where we outline ethical and cultural boundaries, and a second, which is more operational, that envisages and articulates the different critical processes of relationships at both community and project levels. The Form-It methodology of the Botnia Living Lab. The Botnia Living Lab is an example of good practice that helps to illustrate this point. It comprises a series of publications in digital book form, which are based on the development of its own Form-It methodology. For complete information on managing a living lab, you can individually download this extremely helpful series of books: the Living Lab Methodology Handbook, race to scale, and people's voice. Ingredient 3. Effective communication. For a number of different reasons, communication is the main driver of value for many of the participants in a living lab, especially in the early stages. For users and volunteers, because it is the main tool of engagement and the most tangible return on the investment in time and effort. For professionals and institutions, because firstly, it reduces the direct costs of research and co-creation, and secondly, because good communication from the launch of a project is essential to facilitate development and scalability of a solution in order for it to become marketable. What interests us most is to know what we have to focus on, especially in highly uncertain environments, in order to maintain and enhance high levels of engagement. 1. Being consistent in communication. 2. Promoting and coordinating various contexts of simultaneous communication with different people. And 3. Encouraging bilateral communication at all levels of the organization to increase the interaction between those who make decisions and those who make proposals or comments. The iMinds webpage is a good example of communication. Each section has a heading which summarizes the potential value with 1 or 2 simple phrases. The layered presentation style allows gradual access to all the different information and types of content. It also contains a broad and well-developed section displaying all the information about the project. Ingredient 4. Investing in and nurturing the relationship. This ingredient is precisely the creation and production element. All the actors involved need to commit to the investment in a rational manner, whilst bearing in mind the question of the return on their contribution. Another important aspect concerns the resources that each member of a CreaLab can bring to the table. Maximizing social impact is fundamental. A basic example is the amount of time that each participant dedicates to the lab. A cup of coffee at the lab makes up for losing a few hours of our free time. This helps us to remember 2 things. Firstly, what you sow today you reap tomorrow, and secondly, as time passes and the relationships are consolidated, people are willing to invest more. The KWMC8's program has developed a platform dedicated to linking the creative talent of young people with existing companies. As such, on the one hand, young people are its main source of development for social projects, and on the other, the platform gives them an opportunity to gain early experience in the workplace. The iMinds Lab also has other entrepreneur recruitment programs such as iStar Light, which focuses on students and recent graduates who are still in a phase of definition and clarification of ideas. Another is iStart Business, which concentrates on the bringing to fruition of projects which have already passed through their development phase. Part 2. The CreaLab should actively help people to be productive in their relationships. Time, dynamism, and perception. We can describe the relationships in 3 different ways. Birth and growth, where trust, commitment, and investment gradually develop as the overall quality of the relationship improves. Stagnation, where commitment and trust can no longer grow. And decline, where levels of commitment, trust, and investment are reduced, usually because of the deterioration of some of the basic elements seen in the first part. Every moment of a relationship may be different, and the timeline of each relationship is independent, since each individual modifies their target time based on their own perception. Does paying rent mean the same for an entrepreneur and a retiree? We'll try to address this question by coordinating 2 complementary approaches: motivation and personal productivity. Motivation also has a formula. In this case, the reward value is recognizable and is multiplied by the expectations of fulfilling the task, but divided by the delay in achieving this aim. Perspective, value, and time. Value is a subjective concept, and to analyze it, we can identify at least 4 levels of perspective that have direct effects on value, returns, and the passing of time. Level 1. The mega objective. Why we are here. Why we do what we do. Level 2. What do we want at this stage of our lives? Success or inspiration? Level 3. What do we need to achieve in order to reach a specific perception of ourselves, the short-term objectives to achieve this vision? Level 4. What are we doing to gradually achieve our goals? The most important thing for us in this respect is to know at what level each actor is participating. A small aspect of good practice is to create a map of CreaLab results, not with the intention of promoting the achievements, but to catalogue the level of results and to design and perfect a CreaLab hallmark or identity. Control and compliance expectations. Control could be defined as knowing what you have to do at all times. In your particular field, a new set of circumstances may arise at any time, and the solution is to learn to use a new protocol. This can lead to situations where we thought we had everything under control, but we realize that we don't. And this can lead to a decline in both expectations and motivation. To address this, we must create a control mechanism that aids the positive development of our lab. In order to achieve this, our proposal in this guide is based on David Allen's concept of workflow in his GTD methodology, through which it's easier to understand where, how, and when to implement the necessary elements. In conclusion, in order to maintain and maximize the effects of a CreaLab, the methodology employed should ensure that all members interact and have a similar level of input, so that everyone is fully aware of the extent of their involvement and commitment, establish an efficient, consistent and bi-directional form of communication, encourage participants to invest together and not just in a monetary sense, and aim to maintain control and motivation in order to achieve the stated expectations.